ISP.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment.
There's anybody.
No public comment. Old business, number 1, discussion and possible action on the contract with Northwest Services.
Did Ron get us the information that I requested at the last meeting on the differences, significant differences in cost per hour?
All he gave me was the contract. I don't know if he's talked to Josh at all about it, but all I got was the updated contract, which I sent, and it's in your packet.
If you talk to Josh, that doesn't answer my questions.
I don't know. If he's talked to Josh, I don't know. All I know is I got the updated
Even if he did, I
contract.
did not get a response from Ron.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so Ron advised me, well, he couldn't initially find the first contract. Well, that's because he actually didn't do it. It was off the old, who did it before, Laura? Whoever it was.
He was here one time in a meeting. I can't think of his name. It's somebody that Ron bought the company from.
Right, so that's why he didn't have the original one. But I did question, I know Rob's concerns were some of the hourly rates, $30 or something an hour different on that one.
anywhere from, based on what Josh said at the last meeting, prior costs, they were from 30 to, 3 or 4 of them from 30 to 50% higher.
Part of it was because on the original bid, I'm told by him that it didn't include the operator, it only included the machine. So his includes the operator on the machine. That's why the rates are higher.
Ken Kennard. He did the original contract from 5 years ago.
I don't know him, but that, we talked about it, that's what he advised me. Rob. The brine price went down 20 cents a gallon. Basically, it's inflation, and including the operator on a couple of those pieces of equipment where it was $25 and $30 an hour different.
Well, some of them do say with operator and other ones don't. I don't know why that would be. And I don't, I'm confused as to which one was the new, which one is new this week.
The first page would have 2024 in number 1, and then on the other one, the first page would have like 2023 in number 1.
Well, this is the newest one right here on the top.
Here's one that went up $30, $35 an hour.
Which one is it?
A, snow plowing, it's brine application from $135 to $170 an hour. 35 on 135 is pretty high percentage. It's 26% increase.
These were made out, what, the old contract was 5 years ago, correct?
Yeah, the 5-year-old one.
I'm trying to figure out which one here we're actually looking at there.
There's the new one and the old one. Well, he had operator and loader backhoe, 115, so it combined this time.
Well, first of all, a tandem plow truck with wing and salter where it says 170, I believe he told me he didn't originally even have a tandem axle truck. We're just going over the Northwest Pros, Josh. Discuss that. Did you talk to Ron about any of this, or
In between our last meeting, or shortly after our last meeting, I did.
have you got anything that, Rob's questioning,
Ron never answered my questions, so that's why
Gotcha.
I'm a little bit confused because he changed some of the terms on
I do remember one thing he said, originally they didn't have tandem axle trucks, so that might be just simply an all.
Yeah, the other piece that he relayed to me is that the original contract was through Kennard, who did not have operators included in some of these costs. So Ron is presenting them
With operators
included.
included.
Well, he didn't have it included, but he had it separately. This is the old contract.
Yep.
And he did have operators down here at $60 an hour, so they were included.
On some of the equipment pieces.
Right, and what he did apparently is over here to combine them. Because he
Yes.
doesn't have the operator. What's the difference between a laborer and an operator?
Terminology
But they're both listed.
in the old contract, but not with Ron.
Yeah, they're both here. Labor operator, labor foreman. So he took operator off.
Correct. He talked to me specifically about, I believe it was the loader with an operator, he added that in there under B sub 2. And then, I guess overall just to have narrative, so to speak, on sub 4, which was the 2 different mowers included.
You still got a couple on here that went up 25 to 30%. So,
The mowing pieces, he explained to me essentially the cost of blades for
Is unbelievable, it's,
soil mowers versus what they were 5 years ago. No longer can they take them off and sharpen them and put them back on. They're essentially built for essentially a one-time use, and when they're dull, they're dead, and that's it.
like, there was a substantial difference in that price.
are these tractors dedicated to the town of Palmyra only? And how is he breaking out the cost per hour to town of Palmyra versus everywhere he uses it?
Well, it's only when it's here.
Correct.
Right. But if the blades you're talking about cost X amount, and he uses those across 5 different communities, I'd like the explanation on how he allocates that per town, based on usage. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're
I mean, if
saying,
this-
that's gonna be pretty hard to do, I think, isn't it?
It's a cost.
Well, it's a cost, but he's not gonna switch blades on the mower when he goes over to Hema.
Now what I'm saying. But it's like any business where you have a cost model. There's a bill of material where, you put down how much the cost is times the percent of usage per unit. All I'm asking is for him to explain it, because if he's charging us an extra $30, charging us an extra $30 an hour, I don't know how much these things are, but if he's charging everybody $30 a month, it's gonna pay for that thing pretty quick.
In comparison to 5 years, I mean, depending on how you break out what your costs are, I can dump truck standpoint, 5 years ago, you could buy a single axle dump truck for 150 grand, and now they're 225, 260, depending on, so from a replacement standpoint and operation.
I'm not arguing things have gone up significantly. All I'm saying is, I asked for an explanation, and I haven't gotten one. And I'm not gonna, I don't want to just carte blanche sign off on significant increases to the town in a year when we have significant budget issues without explanations. If he was here and offered us, or if he had sent me an email like I asked explaining, might be a moot issue, but we didn't get that.
Would you like to table this till the next meeting?
I don't know that, well, what option do we have? You can take it to a vote, to approve it, you know, but can we wait till the next meeting?
I mean, if one of your questions is the tractor and mower, we're not gonna be cutting grass between now and January, so we can essentially withhold B sub 4 from the contract and pending additional explanation. I mean, that's one of the points of contention.
Section 3,
Oh, sorry.
I would not be opposed to that, but there's also a significant difference in the Bryan application, from 135 up to 170. Did he explain that one?
When this contract was originally done, the town had only planned on doing, I think, 3 roads. Around the lake, maybe 4. Around the lake, Tamarack, and Little Prairie Road. Since that point in time, he has deployed additional equipment to be able to do, I'll say 35 miles or whatever they actually do, so.
But
again, from a cost
that shouldn't
perspective,
impact the quantity that he's doing shouldn't impact the cost per hour. It's just more hours, right?
Mhm. I would argue that.
If he's
but-
doing 6 roads instead of 3, it just takes longer. But with the brine going down, I don't know why that would go up 27, 26%.
let me ask you this, would you like me to try and get him on the phone right now?
Sure, if you want to. I mean,
I'll put it on the speaker.
could have been here too. He could have responded.
Well, I agree with you 100%, but his wife has got suddenly some real serious health issues, and I mean serious.
Well, let's table it till next month. Don't bother him if he's got family issues going on like that.
Josh?
The only caveat to that is that these costs per hour are, I mean, between now and January, it's gonna snow, that they're gonna brine. There's some expectation that we're gonna see some costs, and I think reasonably, if Ron has proposed this and then we employ him for service, that those costs, at least between now and January, would be, the costs that he's presented in this agreement would be invoiced per this agreement breakout between now and the next time.
Well, let's approve, for your suggestion, let's take it to a vote on approving the documents, the contract, with exceptions of those, the 4 and the A3, pending him getting back to us with explanations.
Okay,
And he can always bill us either way at the last year's cost, or this new one, and we can always adjust invoices afterwards.
So you would be, just for clarity's sake, sub 3 rates, sub 3 brine application, A3, I'm sorry. In my own mind, there's a great potential that between now and our meeting in January, that there is going to be brine applied. And whether he's okay at some point or not, there's, to me, some inherent understanding that if we employ Northwest Services to apply brine to our roads between now and the time that this agreement is signed, that they're gonna invoice us at $135 an hour.
And then if we come back and we don't accept it, and we renegotiate it, we change the invoices.
That's fine, I mean, just, at the same point, Ron's gotta be acceptable to call it renegotiating. You know,
so you want
Then let's just table it until next month. Just because he doesn't choose to answer, albeit whatever situation's going on, doesn't mean we have to be forced to approve something we're not ready to approve. Or you can just take it to a vote and see if the vote comes out.
And I would move to approve the agreement for snow removal, roadside, and right-of-way maintenance with Northwest Services as presented in their most recently revised draft.
A motion's been made to approve the Northwest contract for snow removal, roadside, and right-of-way maintenance. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to amend that motion by saying pending acceptable response to the open questions that he has not responded to.
I would second the amendment.
Restate the amendment. Restate the amendment, please.
Approval of the, whatever Josh said, pending receipt and approval of his explanation, that's not how I said it the first time. Pending receipt and acceptable explanation of the open questions pertaining to a couple of the brine and the B4.
The tandem plow truck with wing and salt. Motion's been made.
No, brushing and mowing. Tractor with rotary brush cutter and tractor with flail mower. B4.
B4, okay, so
3B4.
To be specific, yes.
but you're talking about paragraph 3, the tandem plow truck with wing and salter also? Or
No.
just the brine application?
No, he's got it broken out.
3-4, 3 sub 4,
Okay.
and 3B sub 4.
Okay, motion's been made to accept the agreement for snow removal, roadside, and right-of-way maintenance from Northwest Services, except for, pending section 3, a question on brine application, number 4, and paragraph B, number 4, brushing and mowing.
Pending acceptable explanations, receipt of
Pending acceptable explanations on this. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. One more time, number 2, discussion and possible action on the Bobcat attachments.
Get further quotes?
Okay, I did speak to a gentleman who deals with this stuff all the time. In fact, he sells stuff out of Blaine Bishop's. Over here, there's buckets, attachments, etc. He's offering $52,000. He's hoping that gives him enough leeway
Do
to
you have a
make.
formal proposal from him?
Well, he would do it and pay by cashier's check. However, I don't think you can just do it like that.
Did we get a written formal
I
proposal?
did not
from
get a
him?
written thing, but we're still talking about this.
Okay.
$52,000. He deals with this stuff all the time, not just bobcats, cats, all different.
What was the last offer we had from?
From the place we purchased it, funny, I went by there, in Butler, was $48,000.
Okay.
So this is 52. And Josh, I'm wondering if you checked into the Wisconsin surplus and how that works.
I did. I've used it half a dozen times in the past. Realistically, take pictures of it. We take pictures of it. We write a description of how many hours, what's included, any model, serial, whatever, for parts that we want to list. We send that to them. They list it. If we want to put a reserve on it, we can indicate that. And they auction it. Whoever buys it pays a buyer's fee. So essentially,
You
comes
get
out
100%.
free to the town to use. We just would have to give them the information and the list date and end date that we want the auction to run.
There's no seller fee?
And speaking of that gentleman, he said if he, he suggested that, putting it on the auction. And he said, he wouldn't put any less, 55,000 on the reserve. You're not getting 77, you can
Well,
figure.
it's used, once it, like a car, once it
Right,
leaves a lot, you're not. But have we had it valued? Do we know what it's worth?
well, I know it's worth 52,000 to one gentleman. That's why he's figuring he can make anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 maybe. Ahead of that, that's what this
So
gentleman's.
we've never had, I mean, just like a car, there's a trade-in value that you can go out and research, right? So you know before you take something to the dealership, what they should be close, somewhat close to offering you. Is there such a thing for this type of equipment?
It's,
Because why should we sell it for 52 or 55 if it's worth 68, right?
Well, I think, I can tell you from experience with the police department up here, their squad truck, that's what they call them nowadays. When they sold the used one, it was approximately 2 years old. They sold it with all the equipment and got in the area of 6,000 to 7,000 more than they had into it when it was 2 years old. So with like 40,000 miles on it, so that was a good deal for them, that's for certain. I personally think we should put 55,000 on it, and Josh can take pictures, and I'd probably put the invoice that what we paid for it right on. Well, it has the attachments, the model numbers and everything on it.
yeah, I
So,
mean, it's unlimited as far as the number of pictures or documentation or whatever that you provide, so we could easily do that. And the auction environment, I mean, from a, I don't wanna call it Valdo, but in a good way Valdo, the equipment industry itself is a little finicky, and it has a lot to do with timing and what have you, but I don't think there's an urgency to sell it at this point. It's not, we have another debt payment coming up for it to try to get rid of it or anything like that, so.
we don't have to rush into it by any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so
I'm
I,
thinking within a month or 2 months or 3 months that we want to post it, or?
yeah, I did not reach out to ask them when the next, available site. Obviously, they need lead time once you give them the information to get it all put together and get it posted and have a opening and close date kind of thing, but, I did not reach out to them specific to that. It's just, realistically, we could have it sold by February's meeting, so to speak, so that it coincides where the auction closes, and if it's more than, because it's a municipal thing, we're doing one of two things. We set a reserve, and that's the least amount that we're gonna take for it, which makes the rest of it simple, which is anything more than that is acceptable to the board. We would just have to have authorization, or the board authorize the sale of it to be done via, let's say, Wisconsin surplus with a minimum bid of X, and then anything beyond that is quote unquote acceptable to the town, and we would sell it, so.
So would you want to take, I have a few pictures on my phone, but to really do it right,
Yeah,
Are we putting the cart before the horse a little bit? We haven't even decided we're gonna sell it.
okay? I'll make a motion that we put the Bobcat and attachments up for bid with a minimum bid of 55,000 through the Wisconsin Surplus Auction Service, providing Supervisor Gieske gets all the T's crossed and I's dotted and make sure everything's right. We can put the invoice on the website showing what we paid for it. I think we should move it down the road.
But again, we haven't even decided that's what we want to, that we want to sell it. We haven't done any analysis, we haven't looked at, what would we use it for if we kept it, how could it benefit the town as opposed to taking a 25–30% hit on it. We haven't even had that discussion.
I don't know how the town itself, skip the airport, could possibly get $77,000.
When did I say that?
I don't know how we can get that out of it. I
When
don't
did
know.
I say we would?
Well, I didn't say you did, but I don't see it being of value to the township, except for a few minor situations. But if we have some disaster like they originally talked about, you're gonna need something way bigger than that Bobcat to move stuff around. I've talked to the airport, and Mike Krebs, who's basically doing most of the maintenance and everything over here, there's no use for it to speak of, except maybe to push a little bit of snow around, but he told me yesterday, they have a pickup truck and they have the big front end loader with the blade and the blower. So, it's really of no use to them.
And going back to my other question that you didn't answer, have we valued it yet? As opposed to, one, we need to get a firm proposal for that 52,000. I believe it when you tell us, he said that to you. Can't we get him to give us a firm proposal? And then two, there's gotta be a way to put a value on it. I mean, you're saying 55,000 for reserve because that's what he suggested, right?
That's what he suggested on our behalf. He's offering 52, hoping to make $3,000 to $6,000 on it. That's what he feels he's got to play with realistically. So 52 and 6 is 58.
Why are we in a hurry to do this? To Josh's comment earlier, there's no immediate need to do it, is there?
Well, it's just sitting over there.
I get it. And
I
don't
feel
get me wrong,
like-
I'm not opposed to selling it. All I'm saying is we seem to be rushing into it and not taking the right steps as far as valuing it and determining exactly what we want to ask for as a reserve, all of that stuff. And if there was a specific need to do that by the end of the year, I could understand the discussion. But so I'm not opposed to selling if that's the best thing for the town. But do we have all the information to make the right decisions?
I think I've talked to the original sellers of it, somebody that deals in used equipment, and that's about the best that I can come up with. The original people wanted to offer us approximately 48 to 49,000. This guy, without looking at it, I sent pictures to him, offered 52,000.
And maybe a third or fourth one would offer 57 or 8?
And that's possible, but you know the people go out and check with on that, right?
No, I don't.
So that's why I'm suggesting we put it up for auction. I feel that
We made a motion, so.
okay. I have made the motion, is there a second to that?
I mean, if it- in the grand scheme of this whole thing, I'm gonna say by questioning it, are you willing to do the homework to go find additional proposals, or, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but from the standpoint of the resale of the dealer and someone else, I mean, the other option is we could set the reserve higher, and if it doesn't sell, then, I mean, you can list this equipment more than one time. It's not a one and done thing, so being dramatic, if we listed it for 77 grand and nobody bought it, then we know it's at least not worth 77 grand,
Right.
but,
Again, I'm not saying list anything that's worth 77. That's
no,
not the point.
right.
I mean, if we're trying to get rid of it quickly because nobody wants to put the work into it, I'll do some checking, sure. But I need a lot of information on it.
Well, did you send out the receipt, or the bill of sale and everything, did you?
I can send it
But
out.
does that include make, model,
Everything, everything's on it.
lack of a better term, VIN number,
Yep, it's all on
all
there.
of that stuff? Can you resend that to me?
Yeah,
So But if it's a lack of effort that we wanna just get rid of it, then I'll put some extra work into it, that's not the issue. Would I be okay going forward if I hear what you're saying, and I like the idea of putting a higher reserve, and if we don't get it, then we go back to the 55. But if we put it at 60 or 62, we might get it. And since we're in no,
let me ask this,
how often are these auctions held?
It's ongoing.
just goes all the time, did it?
So it's not like monthly, it's just,
Yeah,
add something,
new listings
and you what, put 2 weeks on it, or a month, or?
I would put no less than 3, to be honest with you.
Okay.
4 is probably fine. Anything longer than that's, I don't think necessary.
Okay.
To me, my only 2 cents worth is, given the timing that we're rolling up on the holidays, there's gonna be a 2-week period where people may not anticipate government listing equipment right at the tail end of the year and may, lack of a better term, overlook it. And if we've got a 3-week auction period, they may only see it for a week.
Well, I don't think we should put it on until next year.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on right now. We've got a little work to do if this is what we move forward with.
then I would make a motion that we table it to the January 15th, 2024 table the
Discussion about it.
discussion of the Bobcat and attachments until the January 15th, 2024 town board meeting.
Motion's been made to table item number 2, discussion of possible action on the Bobcat and attachments until next month's meeting, which is when?
January 15th.
January 15th.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Guess we'll be talking about it again, gentlemen. Okay, number 3, discussion of possible action on resolution 2023-001, authorization of financial accounts adopted on June 12, 2023 by the town board. Having reached out to the WTA, the way we have it written is okay. If, God forbid, something happened down here to Laura, medical issue, terrible accident, the board has the authority to appoint somebody temporarily to sign in her place until she's back. So, I don't think we need to act on anything, we've done it, and we can move forward.
Good.
Number 4, please take notice that the town board of Palmyra may move to closed session pursuant to state statute 19.85, paragraph 1, sub E, deliberation or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public lands, or conducting other specific public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically for the purpose of negotiating a contract with a law firm. Number 5, you are further notified that at the end of the closed session, the town board of Palmyra may convene an open session pursuant to state statute 1985, paragraph 2, for possible additional discussion and action concerning any matter discussed in closed session. Need a motion to go into closed session.
I make a motion to go into closed session.
Motion's been made to go into closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Everybody